gave you more than I gave to myself. You had me on a shelf, but now I'm somewhere else. I was bending, breaking, lost in your storm. Now I'm a hurricane in my purest form. You tried to blame me like a fool, had me doubting my worth. Nah, I flipped the script on you, reborn from the dirt. You thought I stayed down? Nah, new mindset, I'm putting me first. This ain't no apology, this my reign. No more bowing down, I'm done with the games. Toxic love, no, I broke that spell. I'm the villain in your story, I wrote you hell. Messy goddess, fierce, wild, unleashed, untamed, not mild. Messy goddess, feel the fire in my eyes. No chains.
This is the Mediocre Black Woman podcast, the space where we side-eye perfectionism and take a digital deep sigh. I'm Goddess Thea, writer, speaker, tech baddie, HR baddie, and a certified high achiever people pleaser in recovery. As a woman who cares deeply about culture in our workplaces, in our communities, and in our lives, I started this podcast in response to Kamala's loss in the election. It was more than political. It was personal. Watching one of the most qualified women lose despite checking every box. It hit a nerve. It mirrored what so many of us go through, doing the most and still being told we're not enough. That loss made it clear. We needed a space for the truth, a space for the tension, and a space for the release. If you've ever been praised for your resilience when you really just needed a nap, girl, or been the only Black woman in the Zoom room holding back a scream, sis, this is your space. Sometimes I'm ranting, sometimes I'm reflecting, sometimes it's healing wrapped in a girl, let me tell you. Either way, this is where we stop pretending and start processing. Let's get into it. Okay. Happy Tuesday, besties. Welcome back to the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. And I am your host, Goddess Thea. So y'all, listen, today has been a day, okay? It has been a day. So over the last few days, I have been I have been writing episodes, but then being like, I don't want to record this one right now. I don't want to record that one right now. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly how many pages we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages of content that I have handwritten, by the way. And I just keep going like, I don't want to do this one. I keep changing it up. So we started off with how do you move forward in the midst of the unknown? And I immediately was like, we're not doing that one. So I only wrote maybe like 2 pages about that one, right? And then I stopped. And then I was like, we can do that. I was thinking to myself, we could do that on July 15th, whatever, right? And then I started writing my other episode, which was based on Megan Thee Stallion's Plan B. It was about romance and choosing ourselves, putting ourselves first, honey. Wrote about 4 or 5 pages of that. And then I was like, we're not doing that this week either, And then I started writing about, I don't know if you guys have seen the show, The Good Fight and Gilded Age. Gilded Age is back now on HBO Max over the last 2 Sundays. So I thought, oh my God, perfect time to write about it. 2 of my favorite actresses are starring in, they were in The Good Fight, but they're also co-starring in The Gilded Age, right? And that's just like an amazing thing when you get a crossover, So I was like, oh, that sounds like something, I could write about, right? But it's just not like, the episodes are great, they're phenomenal, but my spirit is just like, meh. And I was like, oh, you guys want me to talk about how do you move forward in the midst of the unknown? Because this is literally that kind of moment right here that we're going through. And I was like, so I did all this writing just for y'all to drop this on me. And you guys have heard this from me before, where I've created an entire episode, recorded it, and even edited it myself, which I don't always edit my own episodes. I have someone that helps me with that. But it's usually the times when I've edited it myself, I've recorded it, all of that, that they're like, hey, actually, you're going to do this instead. And I feel like this is a really good time to walk us through this whole tension of, being in the midst of the unknown, trying to solve problems, right? Or what we perceive as problems, and forcing things to fit that just don't fit the energy of that moment or of that time, And it's interesting because I've talked to so many people, probably about 10 different people already over the last month or so, who have been in this similar energy that I'm in of like, what the hell do we do now? And so I kind of want to walk y'all through some of like my revelations of what I've experienced. And it's so funny. I spent all this time writing all these notes down for this particular topic, but I'm not even using those notes right now, just so we're all clear. So it's just so funny how that happens. Okay. So one of the first things that I'm realizing about myself, and I think that when you're in this whole energy of the midst of being unknown, especially as Black women, because it's like not feeling useful or not feeling like you have it all figured out, we become a little uncomfortable in that. Like I know I do, and I know a lot of Black women that I know that also get a little uncomfortable, and they're like, I don't like this energy of not knowing, of not just knowing how to charge forward. So me, I am a Capricorn sun, but I am predominantly a fire element chart. My dominating element is fire. So I'm like, boom, boom, boom. We need to move it forward. We need to take action. Like I'm like the queen of implementing feedback or advice or changes or ideas right away. I bring them from the head to the page to the you guys saw the draft drops that I put out where I was like, you know what? I have this archive of episodes, this archive of posts. I'm gonna drop them all right now because a watch pot doesn't boil, baby. Like, so I'm the queen of implementation, the queen of moving things along. Let's get shit done. I come into a room, people know it's time to move stuff along. It's time. I came here because I'm trying to get this shit done, So if that is like my driving energy, it's like, when do you sit back, relax, and just let things come to you, And as someone who's, I've been through a lot in my life. I've lost a lot of people. I've been through food insecurities. I've been through poverty. I've been through all of that shit, And I'm used to making some shit shake, making some shit pop. I'm used to fighting for what it is that comes to me, And I feel like I'm entering this phase of life where I'm still going to have to fight here and there, but not in the same way, And I don't know if a lot of you all are relating to that energy right now or to that shift, of, oh, I don't have to fight for every single thing. I can ask for help. There are people supporting me in a way that, maybe they hadn't been supporting before in other areas or in other, phases of life. And so it's like, what the hell do you do with all of that? And how do you, again, now that you're in this space where you're being forced to set down, how do you move forward? So that's what we're on today. We're talking about how do we move forward? And that's not an easy answer, and it's going to be different for everybody, and for everybody's journey, everybody's timing, everybody's purpose and mission here, right? And what I can say for myself at this time, one of the ways that I have been, okay, let me back up and preface with this first before I go into that. What I've learned is that sometimes, because I'm learning this from experience, okay, y'all, like I've done this, so this is why I'm saying this. But sometimes when you are trying to force fit something, or you're trying to jam something, you're trying to move it forward, and it's not meant to be moved forward just yet, what ends up happening is you make a bigger mess of something, or you end up committed into something that you were never supposed to commit to in the first place because you were supposed to wait and allow things to unfold naturally. I'm super guilty of that because y'all know, like I said, moving things along. What we doing next? What's next? How we going? You know? So, first thing I would say is prefacing it with that. Like sometimes we try too damn hard to move things forward and we just need to pause. We need to, you know? And so the next thing that I would say that I've been doing during this time is opening myself up to unique experiences or different people's stories, right? I went to a conference on Friday, and it was a phenomenal conference. The stories, the people, the ideas that were flowing, the conversations that I was having, they were amazing. They were phenomenal, and it shook a lot of things loose, you know? And also, what I've been doing during this time of like, how do I move things forward? Where am I at? You know, I focus on the things that I actually can control, you know, like the areas that I'm like, oh, I've been kind of letting slide, you know, like kind of food are you eating? What kind of movement are you doing? What kind of, you know, have you been tending to your health bucket? Have you been filling that cup? Or are you just sitting around waiting in vain for what you're trying to wait for? You know? So it's like I've been focusing on, oh, I can actually control that. So I'll do that and then let the other things come when they come, you know? Focusing on injecting more life into my work and into other things. So, okay, those are things I can actually control. I have some say so over, right? Okay, boom, that's done. I can do that, you know. I can add and make sure I'm doing my daily meditation. I can, you know, I can make sure that these things are happening. I can control those things. I can open myself up to new experiences, right? Those are things I can control. And then the next thing that I've been doing is that as I've been opening myself up to these newer experiences and these different people, I've been taking notes of things that I'm learning about myself, or not even necessarily learning, but accepting about myself. You know, I've had a lot of great conversations and I've had a lot of people, you know, say, hey, like, you know, I would love for you to come work over here, or I would love for you to come collaborate with me on this or be a part of that. And what I have learned about myself is that, that I am a leader and I want to be leading and having autonomy in the next thing that I do. I want to help and collaborate and support others, you know, in their visions, but I don't want to get swept up and swallowed by other people's visions, right? In the process. And there have been many a times where Spirit has definitely saved me from people that wanted to, and again, of no malice or anything like that, but wanted me to fully be engulfed in their vision. Like maybe they wanted me to start a business with them, or maybe they wanted me to come work for them. And yeah, no, it's not for me. I love what I'm doing. I have autonomy in my work life. I have autonomy in my publication and my with the Mediocre Black Woman and with my actual day job, you know. And so I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, whatever I do next has to be, I have to be in charge. I have to lead. And I am accepting of that. You know, previously I would have shamed myself for saying like, I need to be in charge and I need to lead, you know, and have been in so many uncomfortable situations by downplaying my need to lead, you know, and letting things go off the rails because I don't want to be seen as wanting to lead, you know? So there's that, right? So I just have like also been taking little notes of like, I like this, I don't like that. I want this, I don't want that. So I love collaboration. I love partnering with other people, but I want to be a partner, you know, very clear, very crystal clear. And man, like me, probably, I don't know, probably like a few months ago, even, I wouldn't have been like comfortable saying that, you know, because, you know, oftentimes, you know, a woman stepping into her power and being comfortable with saying exactly what she wants is not always well received. As a child, I was definitely ashamed for some of my desires, some of my more vocal ideas and thoughts and ways of being, and uh over the last, I would say, like up to like this year or the last few years, I've had to like work through that of like, no, it's okay. Like, it's okay for me to want to lead. It's okay to know that my skill sets are valid. It's okay for me to flex a little bit and be like, I'm good at this. This is what I do, and owning that, And so take note of that. Take note of what you're good at. Take note of what feels good to you and what doesn't feel good to you. And so I feel like these moments where we can't move things forward are those times where we're being forced to examine exactly what it is that feels good in our spirits, what feels good for us, as far as what we want to do on a day to day. I think that when these types of things happen, it's time to take inventory. Where are you spending your energy? Where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your money? Ooh, honey. Where are your thoughts? Like, what is your mental currency? Like, where are you spending most of your thoughts and your are most of your thoughts positive? Are most of your thoughts frantic? Or like, what are you spending your time thinking about? Like, even, So I feel like this time of the unknown is a time to look for signs, wonders, like be open to receiving things, be open to not knowing the answers right away. So all of these things, okay, a lot of y'all know this about me. I love pop culture, love television, film, music. Like, I love pop culture. And I didn't get to watch or enjoy a lot of television and film when I was growing up. So now as an adult, I feel like I've made up for lost times, But I always get a lot of messages like from spirit through television, through music, through all of these mediums. And one of the things I would say is that take your time in allowing things to inspire you, Okay, y'all, my brain went somewhere else for a second. Can you tell? I was like, where was I going with this? This is my age showing. I'm a young old woman. I repeat myself. I forget what I was gonna say. There was a point here. I promise. I promise you that. Yeah, I was making up for lost time with television. It's probably related to a show that I watched recently. I'm sure when I watch this back, I'll be like, oh shit, that's what I was gonna say. Well, friends, we forgot. This is why I like having notes too where I can, but it just is what it is. But yeah, I'm inspired constantly by television shows, things that are coming to me. And I would just encourage you to be open to all of the things, be open to being inspired by something in a new way or looking at something in a new way that you never really looked at it before, Slowing down is when things feel slow or stuck or stagnant. That's the time to assess just exactly what it is that is going on, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, like I said earlier, right? Okay. So, yeah. So, instead of today trying to force some episodes to come together that just weren't, I mean, here's the thing, I've written so many freaking pages of content, so they're together, but it just doesn't feel like the energy of this week, it doesn't feel like, you put this out right now, so instead of forcing that, I'm listening to today's frequency, to this week's frequency of just being, of just sharing my process, because I know people, come to listen to me every week and stuff. And, you know, we don't always, people who are creating content, I don't know what people think about people who are creating content, but we don't always have it ready or right or all together. Or maybe some people do. I don't. I create with spirit. So sometimes my stuff is just, I might have written something, I might have intended something to happen, but then this is what happened, you know? And so I feel like the time that we're in right now, for a lot of us who are, you know, processing or trying to figure things out or trying to move things forward, I feel like for a lot of us, the answers are exactly what I'm doing in this episode, which is just trusting the process, which is just naming the fact that you don't know right now, and that trusting that it will come together, you know, and not trying to force things that aren't meant to work. Because you see, I spent all my time writing these episodes, and I should have just went with the idea that I had first, because, you know, but sometimes I feel like they want me to go through all of this so I could be like, oh, he, like, here we go. Like, you know? So anyway, just saying all that to say, slow down, take your time. Instead of forcing yourself to power through, right? Just have a spiritual pause, have a creative pause, you know? Um, I know that sometimes the unknown can feel like this heaviness, because it's indecision, and it's really hard to it's really hard to leave things undecided, you know. And believe it or not, letting things flow is also a decision. So if you're feeling like you're not making decisions, you are, by letting things flow, you know. um and then there's this, I don't know if y'all get this too, but I definitely get this and I go through it. But there's like this false sense of urgency to just pick something. You know, everything happens in the timing that it's supposed to, and in the fashion that it's supposed to. So sometimes we create this like false sense of urgency for ourselves, and no one's rushing us. Like, we're the ones rushing us, you know? And so sometimes it's just, it's something that we've constructed in our minds, and we just need to calm down and pull back, you know? um, and acknowledge the fact that there's this guilt, I know, that we sometimes carry, or that shows up when we feel like we're not producing or we're not living out our potential. And I was telling my friend the other day that I feel like um, when we're not producing, I feel like there's something ancestral there. There's something in our lineage there that dates back to um, slavery. So there is a show that I watch, and maybe this is where I was going earlier. You see, there was a show that I was watching, and the men that are in that show, they were slaves before they were free, and you know, they work, you know, newspaper jobs, like they're owners of newspapers, they're owners of pharmacies now, right? But they still feel this like pressure to catch up. One of the characters even said it, like they feel this pressure to catch up post, you know, being enslaved. Like they're taking their lives back and trying to catch up on what they lost, you know? And I feel like some of that inherited guilt of feeling like we need to catch up is there too sometimes. And you can't catch up all in one day. You can't catch up all in one week. Is it even catching up? Because we are here. This is just what it is, you know? And now we're moving forward, right? So I just want to, you know, put a little bit of that perspective there too. If you're not sure why you're always feeling this sense of urgency or a sense of feeling behind, you know, there might be something deeper there. Yeah. And I've been asked this before about like my creative process of like, how do you, because I've been asked this a lot in work and in personal creation. Like, how are you so comfortable with like tossing something that you've been working on this whole time? I'm like, you're never really fully comfortable with that, but I trust the process. And I think that's where I trust spirit. I trust the process, and in that it's not the right time for it, but there will be a time for it. There'll be an idea for it or another use for it, you know? And so, yeah, don't feel so beholden to you had to start it this way, so you got to finish it this way. You know, sometimes it needs to evolve. Sometimes it needs to shift. Actually, I'll tell y'all the story. So, my old podcast producer, he actually produces the podcast that I host at my day job still. But he used to produce all of my personal podcasts. And he and I were really good friends, but we still have this like running thing. Well, he has this running thing. So here's the thing: he talks and I listen. But do I listen? Like, you guys heard that episode a couple weeks ago where I told y'all that my grandmother knows that when I say okay in a very specific way, that means that I heard you and your feedback, but I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do anyway. You know, I'm gonna make my own decisions because, you know, I'm an adult. So we have that kind of thing going between us. But for those of you who have been with me for a very long time, you'll know that I have, let's see, I have like probably 5 or 6 different podcasts. I like to look at my past podcasts as like, you know how Netflix has those limited series? That's what some of my past podcasts are. They're limited series. But I did at least the whole season for each podcast that I've ever had, you know? And so he was finally really excited that I've done the Mediocre Black Woman, and I've been really sticking with it. And you know, this one's going to continue, I feel like, for a very long time. But he's always like, you finally stuck with it. You know, you did it, you know, and, you know, just keep sticking with this. Like, he keeps emphasizing that. And something that has actually really supported my growth is that I have a lot of ideas. One, like, my idea brain is off the charts, right? And so I created a lot of shows, but I moved through it really fast, in the sense that I didn't spend a whole year trying to create a new show and then rolling out the new show and then sitting on that. Like, as soon as I have an idea, I take action on it. And every time that I've made a pivot, every time that I've made an adjustment, I've gotten closer and closer to realizing what I want, how I want it. And I haven't wasted a whole lot of time by trying to continue to force something to work that is just not working, you know? Not that these shows didn't work, but it just wasn't where I foresaw myself going long term, you know? And so me being able to pivot and move fast through my ideas has actually brought me here, you know? And so I'm saying that to say is, don't be afraid to pivot, you know? Don't be afraid to change course. Or if it's something that you love doing, maybe do it in a different way. You know, I had this revelation about something that I have been noodling on for a while, or just kind of been dissatisfied with. And I was telling my best friend today, I was like, well, I decided that I'm going to do it a different way. And I'm going to tell these people how it is. And I'm going to set the standards and the tone. Because one, like I said, I discovered that I want to lead and I want to be in charge, and I need to be for my own mental health. Doesn't mean I don't take feedback or collaboration or suggestions, but it means that the decision needs to begin and end with me, and collaboration in the middle, and advice in the middle, and suggestion in the middle, you know, and counseling in the middle, you know. And I was like, but it's the same thing. I love what I'm doing. I just need to reinvent it. Doesn't have to totally be a whole different, you know, change. It just maybe needs a little revamp, you know? So what areas in your life need a revamp? Not necessarily a full-blown pivot, but just a little revamp, a little mini pivot, you know? So just some things to consider when you're thinking about, damn, what do I do? How do I move forward in the midst of the unknown, of the uncertain? And one secret that I will tell y'all, even when things seem certain, it's never really certain, because life is uncertain. Life is the unknown, you know? We don't know everything, everything. Like, you know, we have intuition. Yes, we are divine and connected beings, but life is unknown. That is it, you know? And so, the unknown is not the absence of direction. Sometimes it's just the refusal to pretend clarity when really you just need to slow down and listen. That's it, you know? And I'm saying you need to slow down. That's me too. Okay. So when I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking to me too, child. Okay. So these are some of the things that have worked for me so far. I'm still in the midst of the muck. I'm actually been talking to other people about their muck, and probably going to do some episodes in other places about it, not necessarily on the Mediocre Black Woman, but for other platforms that I support. But it's like a common thing. Must be something astrological right now, shit. Because I feel like everybody I talk to is just like, what do I, you know? And so, yeah, I'm learning to trust that voice and, you know, be comfortable in the silence and be comfortable with things appearing. Because again, I didn't say this, so it's so funny. I have a habit of saying again, but it's because I said it in my head, but I didn't say it out loud to y'all. But again, anyway, so to iterate on the thought that was in my head that y'all haven't heard yet. But sometimes, okay, let me back this up. On the surface, this is the download. On the surface, things feel like they're moving stagnantly. They're not moving forward. They're not moving enough or fast enough for us. But Spirit's time, God's time, the universe, the timeline is not our timing. It's different. It's not linear. And so you got to stop rushing it, right? You know that expression, man plans and God laughs? That's us all day long, thinking that we can, control every single thing that goes on. Sometimes you got to surrender, resist the urge to try to control everything. I have accepted, that I am a little bit of a control freak, but I'm also accepting the fact that even us control freaks need to surrender too, And so I'm surrendering, and I hope that you all will join me in surrender. Yeah, trust that voice. It feels quiet. Sometimes it's unsure, but you just gotta flow with it. And sometimes maybe the next step isn't about solving anything. Maybe it's just saying, this is where I am. And to be quite frank, with everything that has been going on in the world, if you have everything down right now, damn, congratulations, shout outs to you. Wow, you are really freaking killing it. But for most of us, I would imagine that, again, as the circumstances keep changing, as the world keeps evolving, or devolving in some cases, it's hard to make these decisions. So just observe yourself. Just observe your surroundings. Just be still sometimes. This is an offering for us to relax, be calm, be still, and turn inward and to really listen to ourselves and to really trust ourselves, So if you're listening to this and you're also feeling unsure, if you've been circling ideas, dreams, relationships, and none of them feel quite right, this is your permission slip to pause without shame, right? Because we're not doing that no more. We got to stop doing that to ourselves. Being busy does not mean we're valuable sometimes. Sometimes we're more valuable when we're stopping and we're listening, To trust that clarity doesn't always come before the leap. Sometimes it comes because you paused, right? I don't need to be certain to be faithful. Stillness is sacred. This too is movement, okay? Listen, y'all don't know nothing about that. This too is movement. Sometimes our stillness is the movement, okay, honey? Okay. So I don't have any wrap up today. Yeah, because this one was just off the cuff. I'm telling y'all, I was sitting, I can't even tell y'all. I finished what I was doing for work today, and then I got on my computer, and then I got my pieces of paper. I have this big binder that I have all of my notes in. I have my little calendar in it, right? And I was over here writing. I did that on Saturday night. I did it on Sunday night, and I was just clack, 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 clack. And then Monday night after work, I was like clack, 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 and right. My hand hurts actually from writing. I write a little hard. I write a little heavy-handed. I like the lines to be a certain way on the paper. Again, a little bit of a control freak. Anyway, control. Ooh, ooh. Anyway, so I did all of this planning. I did all of this writing, y'all, and still, you can try to keep working yourself, into it. You can work yourself into a decision. You can work yourself into a situation, but sometimes at some stage of the process, Spirit is going to have you surrender anyway. So Might as well do it of your own volition. Okay? Of your own mind, of your own choosing before they make you do it. All right? Okay. Anyway, so that is this week's episode. I do have an announcement. This one is planned. I did good. So I went to that conference, like I told y'all. It was a Black centric conference about Black leadership. And yeah, it was a beautiful conference. And it's something that I want to implement with the Mediocre Black Woman as a result of said conference, right? Because, we don't go places and learn things not to do anything with it, right? We try to implement stuff around here. Again, fast implementation. So one of the speakers was really touching on the fact that we have so much economic power, because that seems to be the only thing that these folks care about a lot of times is economics and money. And it's not about people, right? Even though people are our greatest currency, I always say that, but what do I know? So anyway, we're starting something at the Mediocre Black Woman called Black Friday. Not your traditional Thanksgiving day after Black Friday. Black Friday, our Black Friday, is going to consist of Fridays where we buy Black only, where we consume Black only, right? So we're going to start this on July 18th. To give you all a little bit of time, Friday, July 18th. If you want to do it before July 18th, feel free to go ahead and start then. But I'm giving y'all time. I'm giving y'all time to prepare, okay? So no excuses, So Black Fridays are where we're going to buy Black only. And if we don't or can't buy Black, we can stay home. We can cook for ourselves. Instead of going out, you can have potlucks with your Black friends, your allies, you can play board games, have game nights, and enjoy food and company with each other. Streaming is like damn near impossible these days. I understand that. So if possible, where possible, stream Black TV, Black films, music, right? Black music. This announcement reminded me of when I was growing up and my mom was still alive. And in our little neighborhood, we didn't have a whole lot over there, but we did have community, okay? And we would have karaoke in somebody's apartment, and then you have the kids downstairs in our little walkway, and kids and adults playing dominoes, cards, so we had community, didn't have a lot, but we had community. So bring some of that back, have your neighborhood, your complex, or wherever you live, your cul-de-sac, y'all get together and do that, on a Friday. Order from Black restaurants. If you must use delivery service apps, if you have a Black delivery driver, tip that driver even more. You could do stuff like that. Order from Black restaurants, right? Make sure you do that. Also, I want to add this too. This is not just about Black people here. This is specific to the delivery service apps. So in my area where I live, they've implemented driverless deliveries, which I don't really fuck with that. Period. Even if it, is perfect, I still wouldn't fuck with that. So you can actually opt out of being a part of that if you're offered a delivery from a place that does that. I also looked online myself. I should probably wrote this down and put this in here for y'all, but I forgot to do it. But you can look up on Google, you can Google it, which apps only do delivery driver only, and they don't participate in driverless deliveries. Okay, so there's that too. So yeah, I would like for y'all to all participate with me. We have to control things in the only language these people understand, which is monetary, what these systems understand is monetary. We have tremendous buying power, right? So what I'm also doing, because I'm taking this seriously, I am requesting that you all send me recommendations of online Black-owned businesses. I'm going to try them and report back. My assistant is also going to research local Black-owned businesses for me in my area, and I'll be trying those too and reporting back. I'm only reporting back on the ones that I really like. I'm not going to drag anybody's business because it's not my energy. I will be uplifting and highlighting the ones that I really find to be phenomenal and be, exceptional. And I am going to link here in the show notes a form that you can fill out to, let me know what businesses you all recommend. In that form, there is a section that says location. So there's a drop down where you can pick online only, or you can also pick what state or what U.S. territory they're located in. We're only starting with the U.S. for right now, but if it's online and it's Black owned, we'll do, and it's outside of the United States, we'll do those. I'll visit those, but for in-person things, if there are any in-person ones, I'll be visiting US based locations only. So yeah, there's that. So make sure you definitely participate in that and get ready because it's going to start July 18th, and I'll start putting my recommendations in there too, things and places that I've visited. And yeah, I want to hear from you all on that. And again, like I said, you don't have to wait until July 18th to get started. I'm just giving you a head start so you can start preparing. Yeah, we ride at dawn on July 18th. So make sure you plan around that. Payday is on July 15th. So you have, for most folks, so you have, time to get your stuff a few days before, July 18th. And then on Friday, that's it. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments about that. Make sure you check the show notes, or if you're on Substack, check the full post for all of the details about that. All right, sis, that's it for today. Thanks for listening to the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. Remember, you're magic even on your messiest days. Don't forget to share this with your bestie and tell them to share it with their bestie too. See you next time. Take it easy and take care. Done with lies.